you know, who you are, what your behavior is, what your needs are, getting your needs met.
Hi, we're La Talk, and we essentially wanted to create a short series asking medical students about their experiences in medical school. What have they felt like? What have they gone through? All their different stories, and we hope you enjoy.
Anything that you've learned from those experiences, with like struggling with your identity that you've kind of carried with you, even as you've gotten to 58.
I think like the time when I look at my experience and like what happened within my cohort, like 6 years is a long time, right? My cohort has gone through basically the start and the end of the pandemic, well, not the end, but the start of the pandemic. Within that, like total lockdown, like all the kind of things that were happening socially around the world, like especially I think the first thing that comes to mind is like kind of with the Black Lives Matter protests and all the kind of social conversations that were happening around race, around like who Black people are in this country and how we're treated and what we kind of like represent and our identity. That really kind of helped me to kind of realign myself and to recognize that, oh, okay, this is my position in the world. This is my position in kind of the sphere that I occupy. How can I do the best I can to make sure that I'm protecting myself, make sure that I'm kind of like uh, preserving my own mental health and emotions with all the stuff that's going on. So being forced to kind of have those conversations publicly and just really think about like identity like on a wider scale has helped me to really like process some of my emotions of like imposter syndrome and what I'm doing here and should I be in medicine, those kind of thoughts and feelings. Like it's kind of like you have those feelings that are underlying or like you go through them and you kind of keep them under wraps, but then suddenly when you see other people talking about their experiences and other people saying that I see you, I hear your experience, I know what it's like, you kind of feel more empowered to enter different spaces as yourself. So what I've definitely taken or carried from like those experiences of being lost, trying to find myself, is just to maintain my authentic self. Like to go into any space being who I am and not trying to conform or contort myself to fit the majority mold, which I was never going to fit into anyway. But to actually just really embrace like the unique perspective that I have and to embrace who I am and the fact that I'm not from the standard background that most people in this kind of like profession are from. And also like it's taught me how to really like take that action or take those feelings and action them. So, being, frustrated in your identity, not feeling like you're belonging, it's a horrible feeling, right? And obviously, as you said, mentioned before, it's a personal journey to get yourself out of it. But I also think that can, be helped with community and by, engaging in different communities or just even creating your own spaces where other medics or other kind of like students coming up can not feel those feelings or have a space to maybe talk about those feelings. That personally, has helped me, come to terms with it and learn from it. So um, when I was in second year, some of my friends and I made like an Afro-Caribbean Medical Association Society for our university. And that was kind of born out of like wanting to share these experiences, wanting to, bring a voice to like what has been silenced for so long. So that is another way that has, helped me move on from those experiences and like, the lessons I've carried from that is like to take action and to actually share and let things out.
Um, I think what I've learned from that experience is that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. First, I think I have two learning points. So that's the first thing that I'm going to say. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I know certain times that I've like deliberately picked like another hairstyle or like another tone of voice, and then someone else will have a problem with that. Like, let's say if you don't speak up about something, oh, why didn't you say this? Okay, well, the occasion I do say that, oh, you're being combative. So it's like you're really damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you know what? Just look inwards. If you mean harm, obviously don't. But like if you don't mean any harm, just go ahead, live your life. Obviously, take heed to what would be advantageous to you. in certain situations, because like I feel like, very unpopular opinion, because we are so junior in the team, not to say there are certain things that we must do, and I feel like we should never be compelled to do anything we don't want to do, but also understand that like we are very junior and we still have to do certain things, and there's no point making your life like very, very difficult just to like prove a point. I think it's like really important to understand the difference between dampening yourself because of someone's external influence and doing what you need to do just in that specific scenario to get by. So for example, one thing that I do tell my friends, that in Oskies, in as much as like we do want to have like the loudest hair color and we do want to have like the most outlandish outfit, understand that in that setting that might not actually help you. But small things such as your tone of voice, you can't change the way you speak. So I think it's just really important to understand the dynamics of certain situations, that if it is something you can help, try and help. But if it's something that's just overtly wrong to change and you should feel under no pressure to change it, never change that. So I think just discernment is the first thing that I've learned. And again, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, more time often than not, if you're in a situation, they're gonna have a problem either way. So you might as well just do you. So that's the first thing I learned. And the second thing that I learned in that scenario actually is that all of this will be solved in the future by just having representation. A lot of the times, these people react the way they do because they've just never seen us in these spaces. They're really like grappling with, okay, like all of the rules that we have about professionalism were based off of our skin, our mannerisms, our hair. And it's like now we have someone that doesn't actually fit into that status quo. And like, are we interpreting them as being like unprofessional because like our rules are very Eurocentric? Or so I think all of that can just be solved by us actually being more present in these roles, basically, so that by the time you see another Black person with an afro, they haven't killed a patient, you know, okay, it is professional. By the time you see another Black person that is speaking in their normal tone of voice, oh, the patient doesn't actually see them as very rude. So I think all of that just boils down to us just being there more. So I think the lesson that I've learned is that I'm really going to make it my mission to make sure that the younger generation are actually getting into these roles, because we just need more of us, basically.
What does it mean you to be and feel empowered?
I think, yeah, just following on from what I just said. So, empowerment comes from being supported by a community, I think, whether that be like medical community, whether that be your friends from home, whether that be family who live here, or from most of us who are first generation family who live back home. I think being empowered is just knowing that you've got that like army almost with you and supporting you. Like, there have been times that I've just been so down bad with medical school. Um, but then just kind of conversating with aunties and uncles back home who are just really interested in like what you're doing, and they're really inspired by like the work that you're doing. It helps to empower me a lot, and keep me going. I'd also say like detachment as well from medicine is also very empowering, to know that it doesn't have all of its force is not on you. Like, you can unleash and you can let go at sometimes and just do other things that, you know, feed your soul and make you happy. Whether that's like traveling, I don't know, sport, just things outside, and they can be completely different. Is And knowing that you can do those things as well is really empowering. I think for me, so as you know, Joy, like through the internships and things, like that is like for a medical student to do like a corporate internship. That's just one example. It's just putting yourself in like a very different environment to what you know, and then doing well at that is almost kind of like an affirmation to yourself, like, oh, I'm not just a medic who is good at medicine or average at medicine. I can do other things, and my skill set applies to many different sectors in life. And you can feel empowered by that and know that, you know, there's more to you, there's layers to you, and that you can really exercise those within medicine and outside of medicine. So yeah, like I'd say community, and then just expanding your horizons outside of healthcare.
I think for me, being empowered for myself means to be audacious in everything I'm doing, like to be unapologetically Liddy. whether that's loudly D, whether that's quietly D, whether that's funnily D, whether that's professionally D, whether that's creatively D, whatever it is, just to embrace all identities and facets of things that make me me, without people telling me that because I look like XYZ, I need to fit into this box or that box, or because I'm in medicine, I need to behave this way, or because I'm a creator, I need to do that. I don't really like following, one lane to get to where I need to be. I want to be able to experience everything and do everything I want to do, and just continue to become a well-rounded individual without being limited by societal opinions or by my environment. So I think that being empowered is to be audacious within myself and to be confident within all facets of myself. And I do think that for everyone, including me, that is always going to be. So yeah, just being audacious myself as a young Black Christian woman. There's a lot of intersectionality of different voices feeding into you and different environments feeding into you. So I think in the midst of all of that, still remaining true to myself is what empowerment means to me.
So to feel empowered kind of links to my last point, really, but to feel empowered is to see yourself in a multitude of spaces, I think. Like, see yourself in roles that are traditionally not roles that you've ever seen your people in. Like the other day, I was literally on placement and I spoke to a Black doctor who was part of the military. Like, that is something that, although to be fair, I wouldn't go into the military, but you don't know who would want to go into the military. I feel like there are so many roles that we're not actually taught that we can go into. Like, traditionally speaking, when you think Black person, like a lot of people are shoving down like sports or shoving down entertainment. And it's like, no, actually, you have so many other roles. And even within one role, like even within medicine, like you want to meet a Black urologist, you want to meet a Black plastic surgeon, you want to meet a Black pathologist, you want to be a Black oncologist. Like, there are so many avenues that we have to infiltrate, basically. And once you see yourself there, why not dream about it? Like, I know that one of the YouTubers I used to watch during like sixth form and secondary school was called Lavish Ruby. And granted, she's not in medicine now, but that was the goal when she was studying. And just seeing someone like her, that she looks like all of us, seeing someone like her try to go into these roles, it's like, oh, well, what am I waiting for? I can 100% do that. But I know it's a lot harder to feel empowered when you don't see yourself in these spaces, basically. So I think what empowered means to me is actually seeing yourself in these spaces to even allow you the avenue to dream about them.